Welcome again. Here we are. And Bill found this graphic that explains, I think, very clearly more of what we're about in supporting people to understand how the mind works and how life works. So I want him to share it, and then we'll tie it into how it relates to food and health.
Yeah, so just a little background. I get an email every morning from Stephanie Harrison. She has a website, thenewhappy.com, and she does these great graphics, this artwork to explain principles. Because sometimes, a picture's worth 1,000 words. And so I love these little graphics. And so we're going to share this graphic. She has a book called New Happy. So it's looking at um, really our source of happiness and how lots of times we've got conventional, conditioned ideas about what happiness is. And she's kind of turning that around to see that our happiness isn't always what we think, where it doesn't come from where we think it comes from. So let me share this graphic and we'll take it from there. So share that. So there it is. So basically what she's saying is, life happens. And if we look at it from a real broad perspective, what happens has a lot of facets about it. But so often we only see certain facets. What we focus on is only part of what is actually happening in total. And out of that little bit that we're focusing on, we often make up a story about what's happening.
Yeah, and that story makes us feel certain ways that really you have to ask yourself, is any of this real or true? What I'm seeing more and more is what happens again and again is neutral. It has nothing on it. I'm the one who puts stuff on it based on what I focus on. And that's how we create habits and addictive patterns from the repetition of focusing only on certain things and making up a story about it and then following the way that makes me feel and then looking for a way to soothe myself because I don't feel good.
Yeah, how often does something happen that's happened before and we had a reaction to it before? And so rather than really exploring what is happening, we simply bring up that old habitual conditioned response, like my story of getting cut off in traffic. It happens so often. It's like, oh, it happened again. And I'm just actually bringing back that old reaction. I'm not really looking at the fact, oh, I just got cut off. Neutral, completely neutral. Getting cut off in traffic does not create anger. What creates anger is the little bit I'm focusing on. The little bit is that guy could have killed me, or that guy's going to make me late for work, or whatever. And I just blow that story up. I'm going to get late for work, and what's going to happen then, or that could have killed me. It is a story that did not happen, but my experience comes out of that. And when we're dealing, like Connie says, when we're dealing with these strong emotional feelings coming out of a story that we tell ourselves, by focusing on only a part of what's really happening, we lots of times reach for food to soothe ourselves.
Yeah, to try to create the calm that was there moments before. And it's always there if we just relax and let all that thinking and story settle down. We've talked before about the snow globe. When we're in our mental thinking and all the feeling that comes from that, it's like we shake that snow globe up and we're just in a haze of confusion, actually. And what we have the opportunity to do in every circumstance is just relax. Let this snow globe settle, this thinking mind get calm. And from that space, we get a nudge to move us to the next.
Yeah, I really like that. So in a way, what I hear Connie saying is that when we realize that the snow globe is all shaken up, it's a sign actually that we're focusing only on part of what's occurring. That snow getting all shaken up is the result of this exaggerated story that we're telling ourselves. And if we can let that mind settle down, then we're able to see more of what really happened. We're able to see a lot more the neutral nature of what occurred. We have a broader perspective. And out of that broader perspective, we have a different response. Like when I would get caught off in traffic, if I got angry, then my mind would just keep that snow globe stirred up. And I'd get to work and I'd be telling the guys about what happened. And I'd go to work and I'd still be distracted. I wouldn't work as well. But on those rare occasions where I didn't get angry, you see, I had proof in my own life that life works actually from the inside out, not the outside in. What we're talking about here is that the stories we tell ourselves are what create our experience of what happened. And so we see that's generated from the inside out. The story I'm telling myself is what creates the experience of what happened. And those occasions when I didn't get angry and I just went, whoa, this guy's really driving crazy. I better just slow down. My mind didn't get stirred up. I saw the neutral nature of what occurred, and my thinking was very different. My response was much more different. When I got to work, I wasn't all sped up, and I worked better. So it's real interesting when we begin to recognize that life works from the inside out, not the outside in, how much more settled our lives can be. And if we notice that the snow globe is shaken up and we're starting to feel tense and urgent about we got to change what's going on, rather than taking that as the directive for our lives, we've got to change something. Like sometimes I would just drive right up on the guy's bumper as if that was going to fix the situation, but that was the kind of thinking that came out of this urgency that something shouldn't have happened that happened. When we really let the snow globe settle, we get very different thoughts. Our experience of what happened is different, and the decisions that we make going forward are different. Our life is, well, my life has been a lot better since I've been working with this perspective.
Yeah, and when we let the snow globe settle down, when we just relax, then what happens is we come into the present moment. We are present to what is really occurring. And as Bill says, we can see so much clearer, and then our response to life can be very different. Instead of reaching for the food to try to calm this inside, we may see our best next is something entirely different. And we've already calmed that feeling. So we don't need to reach for something to do the job. It's all within us. And it's so simple that we often miss it.
So this recognition that when the snow globe is stirred up, it's so often a result of just a habit of responding to a certain type of situation in a certain way. And we just go back to our old thinking. And part of that old thinking is what we often experience as a craving for a certain food, because that's part of this whole cascade of thoughts and behaviors that come out of that. So very often, we often refer to the fact that rather than trying to resolve the problem on the level of the problem, we want to go upstream. So what we begin to see that the situation is different than the way it is. By going upstream, what we mean is let the snow globe settle down, and we will see the situation with different eyes.
We'll see what really happened instead of our old thought patterns of what we think and feel happened.
Yeah, instead of the old story continuing on, let the snow globe settle. We go upstream and we see what really happened. And this whole cascade of focusing on just a part of what happened and then leading to the story I tell myself, and then leading to the behaviors that come out of that story. We go upstream and we break that whole pattern. So we don't have to work on how do I control my cravings? How do I control this eating disorder? How do I control this desire to have food when I know I'm not hungry? We don't have to control that if we aren't stirred up and following these old habits that use food to try to settle us. We find our way upstream to where we're naturally settled by being present and seeing what is actually occurring in this present moment.
Yeah, I think that's enough of that.
Oh, you do? Okay, then we better share the recipe.
Yeah, so the recipe is really delicious and perfect, as Bill says, for a hot summer day. It's quinoa, corn, avocado, tomato salad. It's beautiful with a lime juice and lime zest dressing. Very simple, but so yummy. And it has some cilantro in it as well.
Yeah.
And red onion that I love. So enjoy.
Great. Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again next week.